Alright, welcome back to the Blender 3 Docwalk. This document, we are going to be talking about the startup scene. Okay, first thing we see after we get rid of our splash screen here is this, the default cube, kind of this gridded layout, right? This is your startup scene. You can customize your own startup scene, and the way you would do that is if you go up to File, down to Defaults, and right here, Save Startup File. You would do that after you've got whatever customized and kind of the way you want it looking when you first start the program up. That's how you would do that. You'll notice that the default here is the cube. This has kind of been nicknamed the default cube. This is the cube. So if we kind of zoom just a little bit here, well, I guess this is fine. Alright, so that's your default cube. You definitely don't need to keep it around. Some people work off of it, but typically you would just delete it and then unless you're going to be working on something that starts with a cube. But yeah, that's your default cube. You'll notice that it is pre-selected, so it's got this orange outline as soon as you start up, and that's that, I guess. If we zoom in here, you'll notice we talked about this last time, this little orange dot in the very middle. It's centered in the middle of your 3D cursor. That's your object's origin point. That's the origin of your object. Every object will have one. The next thing we want to talk about is your light source. That'd be this guy over here. This is your light. Okay, get a close-up of it. Alright, that's your light source. Typically you're going to have a series of lights in any one scene, but yeah, that's your light. You'll notice that well, if we pop over to render, you'll notice that the cube is now lit as if the light is coming from that, and it is. That's where that's the location Blender is using to calculate how the light is hitting our cube. So that's that. Whoops. Okay. So cube, light, camera. This is your camera. We'll be going over this in much more depth in a bit of a later video, but yeah, that's your camera. Just so you know, if you hit 0, that will put you into camera view, like so. That is camera view. The 3D cursor, we've also talked about this. It's usually always placed in the very, in the origin of your scene. That's at the 0 mark on your X and your Y axis. So it's there. Your 3D cursor really denotes where your, like if I place it over here, where your next object is going to be placed. So if I shift A and toss a circle in there, you'll notice that, whoops, you'll notice it, goodness, I'm off today, that my circle has been placed right around the 3D cursor. And of course we've got the grid floor, and the red line here, that's our x-axis, the green line is our y-axis. We can turn our z-axis on if we want. If we do, it would be blue and go up and down. But the floor specifically, the grid floor settings, can be manipulated in the Viewport overlays popover. The floor settings can be manipulated in the Viewport overlay. We just talked about this in a previous video. If you come up here to overlays, click down, there's a bunch of stuff you can manipulate here, including turning on your z-axis, which we just barely talked about. So, yep, that's that. Bunch of stuff there. Oh, also in the overlays, you can kind of alter the text information that appears. You can turn on your statistics. This over here, this is your text info area, and yeah, let's talk about that really quick. So you'll notice right here at the top it says user perspective. That's typically almost every perspective that you can be in, except, as we just barely talked about, if you hit 0 and go into camera mode, you'll notice that it now says camera perspective. This will change according to, if you have multiple cameras, it will let you know which camera you're viewing the scene from. Also, if you're playing an animation, your frames per second will show up here. So if I just tap the space bar, whoops, I forgot I changed that. Let's wick that back really quick. There we go. All right, if I tap the space bar, you'll see my FPS come up. So it's telling me that it's playing at about 24 frames per second. Occasionally you'll see well, maybe sometimes a little kind of red blip that'll say like 23.9 or something, just letting you know that it's, just having a dropped a frame or whatever. And then of course down here we have our objects information. Now you'll notice in parentheses here we've got a 26. That's just denoting that we are on frame 26. See, if I change it to 82, we're on frame 82. 110, 110. And then the rest of this here, collection, pipe, circle, that's telling me that it's my circle that's selected. If I select my cube, whoops, let's go back to something I can select stuff with. If I select my cube, you'll see that it now says collection, pipe, cube. And that is talking about over here, my cube is in my scene collection. Well, scene collection is at the top then. And then under this collection is my cube, circle, camera, and light. So it's just telling me kind of like the hierarchy. How come I can't say that? Hierarchical? Is that right? Now it's sounding weird. My hierarchical location of whichever object I have selected. Okay. You will also see information here about your shape key. That is found over here in your object information. Shape keys are right here. Don't worry about that right now. We'll go over shape keys in depth when we start talking about animations. Let's see here. Markers. So if we come down here to our timeline here, you can set markers. Again, markers are, well, they're markers, right? If you hit M while you're in your timeline, a little marker will appear where your playhead is with F_70. That denotes frame 70. I'm on frame 70. If I'm at 110 and hit M, I'm going to get F_110. Markers are just really quick, easy ways to mark a certain frame, kind of a mental reminder of, that something is there, or you want to do something there, or whatever. It's kind of just like tagging a frame. But so you'll notice though that up here, I now have the name of the current marker. If I am on a marker, 39, F_39, it's showing me that the current frame I am working on has been marked. And the last thing to know about your text information area up here is that when you do set a keyframe, typically you're just going to want to turn on your record button here, and if I just grab this guy and move him, that will just automatically drop my first keyframe right down there. You'll notice that my text information has turned yellow. That's simply indicating that I am on a keyframe. If I move my playhead away, it's going to go back to white. The second I go back, it's going to go back to yellow. These are called state colors, and there are a few of them, each one indicating something specific. One means that that you've got a keyframe. Another means that it is something that has a keyframe but hasn't been altered yet. There's just, and we're going to go over all of those in detail later, but just so you know, that's your state coloring right here, and just file that away under things to know about, because it's just nice to have kind of visual, colorful reminders of different things that are happening. especially when things start to get a little bit more complicated and you're dealing with multiple things happening at once. So, all right, well, that's it. That is the startup scene. I will see you guys next time when we talk about object modes. Again, thank you for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't yet. Feel free to like and share the videos. It will definitely help with getting the channel moving and helping the channel, gain a bit more momentum. So I appreciate everybody that's been watching. Thanks again. I will see you guys next time.